Here again.
So, okay, do, okay. This is the BPAC meeting for April the 23rd, 2025, and a call to order. Edwin,
Here.
thank you. Michelle,
Here.
John,
Here.
Joseph,
Here.
RJ,
Present.
and Laura Walters is not present at the moment, and Ian Golding is. So, good afternoon, everybody. Approval of agenda. Every thumbs up, everybody? Wonderful. And approval of minutes, January 22nd, 25, and February the 6th, 25. And Mike, once again, thank you so much for your detailed minutes. They're a great help. So a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Wonderful. Thank you, Edwin.
Second.
Seconded by Joseph. Thank you, Joseph. By roll call vote, Edwin Claflin,
Aye.
Michelle Kramer,
Sorry.
okay, that's an aye. Joseph Topham,
Aye.
RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Ian Golding, aye, with Laura not present. So that action and discussion items. The first one is low speed vehicles, LSV regulations. Mike, would you like to bring me up to speed, if not everybody else?
Yeah, I guess the question came up is, well, first of all, I want to make sure I understand the question, but I did add the Massachusetts regulations for low-speed vehicles to the meeting invite, just to kind of clarify what an LSV is.
Right.
And
I read them. I think we probably all read them.
Good. And what I can also do is maybe share a picture of an LSV that our office just bought. This just starting to trickle out into social media. So if you see the picture, like it or love it, or I guess don't, or have a comment of concern if you have a comment of concern. But we're really proud of it. Those who have driven it are really, we're happy about it. It's fun. And it as long as you stick to the regulations of the roadways where it is to be used on, you don't really interrupt traffic flow at all. And just as the regulations state, it's the vehicle can go 25 miles an hour. It's prohibited to be on roads that are greater than 30 miles an hour. So as long as the roadway is 30 miles an hour or less, it's totally appropriate to have those vehicles operate on those roads. The good news is a lot of Nantucket is designated as thickly settled, and the community did opt into a speed limit reduction of 25 miles an hour. So a lot of the roadways in and around the downtown area and the Mid-Island area are all 25 miles an hour. So they're absolutely appropriate for those roadways. And unless you get a lead foot, I guess you're just going to go along with the flow of traffic, which is kind of a good thing, and probably a way to increase safety along some of those roadways as well. So like I said, I really don't know what the question specifically was, is whether these LSVs were to be prohibited from bike paths, or should we consider allowing them on bike paths? But right now they're considered to be a motor vehicle, and they're not appropriate for our bike path system. But I'll stop there and see if there's just general discussion or questions about these vehicles. And
Yeah.
Question.
So
Yes.
over the winter, and since I've become a member of this and been signing up for online discussions and forums and other things, I've noticed that my algorithm has dramatically changed on social media. So I have started to see a lot more targeted ads for micromobility options which don't fall into this classification, or don't fall into a classification of an e-bike. And the evening that I sent out the email was when I was sitting in line for standby over 3 boats on the in Hyannis waiting to come back, and I did see like a Polaris UTV coming over to the island, which would not be permitted as a low-speed vehicle. And I saw another like 6-passenger seating vehicle. and I just was noticing things, and I personally have been targeted with a bunch of ads for like, hey, do you want a 4-wheel road scooter designed to haul a cargo bucket and a trailer behind it and all these things. And so I feel like whether we acknowledge it or not, we are in a global economy that people can get stuff direct shipped to them here. And we have lots of people who want lots of toys and fun things. And so I foresee that we're going to have a bunch of unclassified things. Like the vehicle mandates that you sent out are for vehicles that have been registered with a state and have conformed to some sort of standard. What I am thinking about is, hey, there's all these things that are going to be coming out here prior to them actually being classified, just because of the way people ship things and get things. So I'd thought about before the bike pass usage, and specifically like width of vehicles or length of vehicles or what they're being classified as, because if they don't conform to being an e-bike and they're not classified as a moped by definition of having 2 wheels and a gas engine, but you are an electric something that's not classified as a bike, not classified as something, I think we're going to be in an interesting time. And so I was just seeing if people had other thoughts about what may be coming down the pipeline, not what is legally currently allowed, because there are regulations. But I was just kind of curious about what other thoughts were and what people were noticing. So
Thank you, Edwin. And the width issue, I would have thought, if you were allowing vehicles like the one that you're racing around in, Mike, I would have thought there probably wasn't that much room when, if you have 2 of them. How wide is it? It must be close to 4 feet, isn't it? I mean, or I was going to ask you how quickly it gets up to 25. Is it 0 to 25 in a fraction of a second? But Edwin has kept my question more focused on what we need to deal with.
I mean, the vehicle that he's showing is a legal street vehicle, so
Right.
It's going to be on the streets.
Right. Yes, Joe. Thank you, Mike.
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to share the pic. I'm sorry, I was muted and I was talking with my microphone turned off. But yeah, the size of the vehicle inside, it's. I mean, you can obviously see that there's 4 grown men, and I'm not a small guy. We can all pile into this car and feel quite comfortable. It's really no different than being in a golf cart. I mean, I think guys that are bigger than me can fit into golf carts. It's just the exterior frame. There's not much of a rear end. There's not a front hood because there's no combustion engine in front. But the interior, it's pretty cozy inside, and not enough room to where you don't feel too claustrophobic. Like I said, there's 4 grown adults that were sitting in that, zooming around town, so it was performing fairly well.
So my wife's birthday is May 11th. Can I get her one? How much do they cost? It looks like terrific fun.
My opinion is these are going to take off like wildfire, especially around town. There's an array of costs that go along with this. We happen to get one with a lot of features. You don't have to. They can come without the doors, and it costs as little as $8,000, which is not that bad for a vehicle where you can zoom around island, or they can get as expensive as $40,000-$50,000, depending on what kind of attachments you want to add on it, and whether you want that 3rd row or keep it at 2 rows or single row.
Yeah.
So
yeah, thank you, Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in chapter 98 in coming up a town meeting, I did put in there that prohibited absence expressly written, and this is for bike paths, no Kia class mini trucks, vans, all-terrain vehicles, like all that stuff. I was trying to, because I knew it was coming, so maybe if there's a certain language or definition for that vehicle that Michael is talking about, then that maybe something on town meeting or prior to town meeting we can edit and then get that approved at town meeting, would be kind of my recommendation. But I do think they're coming, and that's, I was once we were talking at the NPC about the Kia class mini trucks, I figured that something else is coming here, and how do we do this? And it even came up with the Nanatuck. I was also worried about them going down the bike paths and the width of stuff like that. So I don't know what you guys think, but that was something I was trying to project what would be coming in the future. And that's why I did that.
Yeah, my whole purpose of bringing up the conversation was that I think we are going to see styles of micromobility and other forms of vehicles being released faster than regulations can go into place. So I just am thinking about the future as forms of, we shouldn't be going and banning individual classes or individual items. It's like we need to have bike paths are engineered for this speed and this size of whatever. So if you can't, it's the same reason why you can't ride 3 bikes wide on a bike path. Like you're supposed to say single file. Like you have ways to make regulations without being specific to the things that are on there. That's my
Well, if
thought
I may
process.
build on that, Edwin,
Yes, sir.
is there any reason why we can't just have a sign saying 2 wheels only? Because I mean, that's what we're really talking about, right? Is to limit it to basically either e-bikes or bikes. Although I suppose tricycles are, you could argue that a tricycle is 3 wheels. I mean, I can see this.
Yeah, some of the cargo e-bikes are 3 wheels as well, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inline
Okay.
skates can be 6 wheels. Like
Yeah.
we're in
Yeah,
a
yeah.
weird period of
Okay.
time where regulations don't make sense. So that's my only point. I was just causing problems. Sorry.
No, I mean, I still remember chasing down a kid who was going way too fast on the bike path and, with absolutely no regard for other people. And, my granddaughter was the age of 9 or so. And I caught him twice, speeding along. And then the second time he said, well, you're pretty fast for an old guy. And so I thanked him and said, please go slower. I didn't tell him that I was on steroids for my arthritis. So, anyway, so I mean, that's a huge issue, speed and courtesy. So, and room, you have kids, 6, 7, 8 years old wobbling along on their bikes. The last thing we want is larger, faster, heavier modes of transport on the bike path.
Yeah, and Mr.
Yes,
Chairman,
sir.
like that was one of the reasons why the Kia class, the mini trucks, Brian Riley, town council, and the select board are like, do we really need this in there? And I said, well, there's one that was, I think it was a 45 Surfside. It was stuck in traffic, went on the bike path and went on a Bartlett Road. So, it's a rule that when you need it, it's there, but hopefully people will just use common sense and say, I'm too wide, I'm too big or whatever, that I can't be on there. But I do think there should be some definition or characterization, or maybe it's a specific brand or make or whatever that we kind of need to be mindful of. And I don't want to ban anyone. I just want to make sure that, the reason we're doing this whole sign and stuff like that is just to be safe and be smart and, just to kind of use everything wisely and for everyone to use. So that's kind of the whole purpose of that.
Yes. Mike, any ideas?
I'm just scrolling through Mass General Law about the definitions of bicycle and e-bikes, and the definition of an e-bike is it can be a bicycle or a tricycle. So that's kind of the limitations, but there are dimensional standards for all this. I mean, I guess you'd have to get really cute to try to skirt state law and try to get around that. But
Well, how about just limited to hello?
We still got you.
You still got me? For some reason, my screen, I don't see you guys. But then how about limiting it to a sign that just says for e-bikes and traditional bicycles and tricycles only.
Yeah, I think that was pretty clear about no motorized vehicles. So and e-bikes are specifically
Exempted.
spelled out as not being a motorized vehicle. The class 1 and class 2 are specifically not motorized vehicles. They're considered bicycles. So I think by everything else is kind of prohibited by default, so, like, because it spells out what is allowed: pedestrians, bicycles, and because class 1 and 2 e-bikes are considered to be bicycles, those are allowed as well.
Do we need a sign at either end of all the major bike paths emphasizing that?
There are some, at least there was I guess in the 2000s, it was kind of a design standard that on the back of some of the signs at crossings that there was, and you can see this in some locations, there are signs that say no motorized vehicles at those entrances on the back of them.
So as an example, I'm gonna purely just throw out hypotheticals that are problematic, but like you can rollerblade on the bike path right now. That is a multi-use path, and you're allowed to rollerblade on it. Are you allowed to bike path with a they make for workouts? You can drag a parachute behind you. Are you allowed to drag a 10-foot parachute behind you for resistance training down the bike path? Are you allowed to be on a motorized skateboard? Like currently you are, but now they're coming out with motorized all-terrain skateboards that are like 2 feet wide, that also have a post in the front, that are designed to carry, like, are designed for being in the wilderness backpacking or hunting. So you can down a bear, put it in the back of a cargo bed on a skateboard that is all-terrain, and then go down. Like, it's still the right dimension. It still is going underneath the speed. It like technically follows all the guidelines because it's not over 750 watts. It wouldn't be classified as a I don't know. We're just going to have all of these items that are going to be coming up in the near future that aren't going to conform to the regulations.
And I think Joe mentioned a lot of the different, segways are also in the local bylaws being prohibited, and those are 2-wheeled electric. Probably can't go
Right.
faster than 25 miles an hour on a Segway.
Right.
But the local bylaw prohibits them. I don't know if there's anything in the state law. I'd have to like scrub that one more time to see if Segways are specifically prohibited, but I think it might go down to like the local jurisdiction. Yeah, you're raising an interesting question, Edwin.
So like if you're on a cargo skateboard that you install instead of a front post for a handle, if you install a windsurfing kite on it, can you kite surf down a bike path? It's not
So
electric.
the answer should
It's
be
like,
obviously no, Edwin.
right.
And so it seems to me that you should have a sign at the beginning saying no kiteboards, no skateboards, and no assholes. I know we can't
Right.
do the one, but you get my drift, right?
But the point is that like the list, as they come out with different forms of transportation or entertainment, it's non-ending. So you can just keep on. We'll end up having to have a series of 27 billboards before you enter a bike path of potentially all the things that are illegal. But
it does say prohibited absence express written permission. No person shall authorize a motorized skateboard or a Segway.
Sure.
That was already in, and I added the Kia class mini truck, vans, and all-terrain vehicles because I knew some stuff were coming. So I kind of feel like it's a year-by-year basis. Like if something comes in, and what we need to do is we'll come back to town meeting and say, hey, this is a new vehicle that's been created, and we need to kind of make sure that the guidelines are properly used and in place. So I think that when they wrote this article, chapter 98, I don't think they had e-bikes and everything else coming on down the road. So it's now like, let's bring it up to speed, and now what's the next thing? And I think we kind of waited a little bit too long for the e-bikes. I think this could have been brought in a lot sooner. That's just my personal opinion, but I think that as new vehicles come available, I think we should be available, like be proactive and keep this language up to date.
So
that's my opinion.
Joe, I have a question for you. In where you're prohibiting specifics like Kias, have you written or equivalent?
Well, no, this is just it just says van, but it says all terrain vehicles. But we could add that language and then get it to town council and see what they think, and then kind of bring up the new town vehicle. Some of this could be coming, and if Edwin's seeing things coming over on the boat, I think we should kind of bring this forward now, have town council review it, get it to Sarah, let everyone read the new language. It would definitely be altered on town meeting floor, but sometimes is the death of an article. But I think it's something we need to kind of be mindful of. So
Totally, totally. Would you bring, I mean, if just adding or equivalent would really make a big difference to what was prohibited,
I will,
maybe that would be a step towards dealing with what Edwin, I think you're absolutely right, Edwin. I've never seen a cargo skateboard. I've never heard of it, actually. You're making me feel
Yeah.
probably antediluvian. So,
No, I changed my algorithm. I'm clearly not on them, but
right,
I'm seeing them now often.
right.
which
So,
we'll all see
Michelle,
now.
I was just wondering, do we actually have regulations around monster trucks? I mean, if we're prohibiting certain things on bike paths and stuff like that, I was just like, I see cars which are also a danger to pedestrians and bicyclists. Nobody ever seems to care about cars and trucks getting bigger. And I see now sometimes cars on the road that I've only seen in the past in monster truck shows. So I was just wondering, can we do something about that as well?
I would say that they have to meet the state standard. That
Right.
they meet the state standards. I think Yugos, I think the Yugos came to America and then they weren't accepted. The Kia truck came, Kia class, that came, and we're all excited. And then the state of Massachusetts said they're not legal, but Nantucket's fought for them to say they're the perfect vehicle for Nantucket.
Yeah.
So we're allowing them on certain roads, but in the state they're not allowing them because they were seeing them going down the highway at 30 miles an hour.
Oh,
You
but I
know,
don't
so
mean
it's-
that like the really small ones. I actually mean the like really big ones. The ones
But
that-
specifically-
they have to meet state standard.
And the state standard with that they're specifically targeting is like headlight height, which if you go above a certain height, you then have to repitch your lights down so you're not blasting people in the eyes. But besides that, no, you're allowed to have a vehicle taller than a person that can kill them.
all right. So, Joe, you want to do
But I
something?
mean, sorry, if I can just continue with the
Go ahead.
monster truck thing. There's also regulations about how wide a vehicle can be. So if your tires are too wide to fit on a road, you cannot drive it on a road. And so that is my argument for potentially doing some sort of width restriction. So you can't be towing a boat behind an e-bike because your trailer would be wider than the bike path.
It's like the Hummer were banned off the beaches because they were creating
Right,
too
the
much
path.
damage and
Right.
pathways.
Right. Yeah.
Apparently, the
So,
maximum width of a vehicle in Massachusetts without a permit is 8.5 feet.
it's a pretty
And you're,
wide vehicle.
and you're right, Edwin, the limit of a height of a headlights have to be 42 inches. Nothing higher than that. So yeah, they're there. You just have to be a lawyer and know where to look these things up.
I'm just wondering, like, is it enforced as well? Like certain things might not be allowed, but I see trucks driving by that I'm like, how is this allowed on the road? But anyway.
This is America, Michelle. The bigger the truck, the
I know.
better. So any final thoughts and, as to whether, Joe, you want to sharpen your pencil?
No, I'll reach out to everyone and then
Thank
circle
you.
back around.
Thank you very much. So, so that brings us on to the stop signs and the removal of path stop sign removal. And so, Mike, thank you very much for providing those illustrations and that blueprint for where removing stop signs and putting up the crossroads instead, if that's the way I read that. Is that what you intended?
Yeah, I'm just building a slide deck for a future presentation. And then at the very end of that, I mean, if you look through the slides, some of them kind of recycled from previous meetings, but I did add on to, and let me see if I can't share my screen to kind of talk you through. I had mentioned this at our last meeting to see if this type of roadway intersection sign, this caution sign, would be an acceptable treatment. If there was general agreement that that was acceptable, I think the idea is to, and I think I got all this represented correctly from reviewing the meeting minutes for like Pulpus Road. But this would be generally for anything that's labeled here as the recommended path signage of caution intersection. These caution 18-inch caution signs were put on the approaches to an intersecting roadway, as well as the pavement markings where the crossing bars and stop bars, the two-phased stop control, stop before a path, stop after a path before entering a roadway. I want to say that I tried to represent the spirit of the discussions we've had in the past. I just wanted to share this with you all and see, Ian, if you want to see if the committee had any comments about these or if this is going in the right direction.
Well, so I'm personally really appreciative that you put this much work into it. And from my perspective, I think it's a huge improvement on the stop signs. And so I would absolutely, it gets my vote as an, either an interim measure or a final measure, depending on where we go from this and the feeling of the committee. So, but I do want to add that I don't think we were ever advocating that dump traffic that bicycles shouldn't stop for the dump or for, and what was the other one, the Tom Nevers Road. So I don't quite know how that got in there. And from my perspective, if it did, it never should have, because obviously a common sense approach would be that, bicycles have to stop for dump traffic.
Yeah, I think that was what came out of the discussion of some of the meetings that there was all general agreement with the recommendations that Michelle had put together.
Right.
I think there was, some intersections that all gave us pause. And I tried to reflect that based on the meeting discussions of, like, you all did vote that, accept the recommendations, but you did want stop signs at No Pier Farm Road, New South Road, and Tom Nevers Road, as well as some stop signs at some of these other corridors as well. And this is incomplete, is my understanding. There's still, Surfside, Old South Road, and Cliff. There's other locations that need to be addressed, but we just want to make sure that this was generally in the right direction that you were all discussing.
So, Edwin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is very, very well done, and thank you for all your hard work. I was curious, would it be appropriate to also have a path ending sign at the end of the paths that were noted already in your layout, along with the intersection sign, saying that basically you're about to figure out how to not be on a bike path?
Mike?
The top of my head, I think that it does exist. I don't know if we do that at every location. I think the environment kind of dictates that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that would be helpful or not, or whether we do those in some locations but not all. I honestly, I haven't looked in that granular detail.
Yeah, I think I was in Somerville recently where you had some bike paths that had to then cross over a turn lane to bounce back forth. So it was like path ending, merging with traffic. A bunch of other notifications were there that seemed helpful. And I see that there's a couple spots where they need to be aware that you're about to enter. Basically, you create a second lane of a turn lane when you're on a path next to it, like at the end of the Matticat bike path. It's like, hey, there's going to be a car that may cut in front of you. You may have to go. This path ending, I think, might help in certain locations. Thank you.
Definitely more critical of the bike lanes ending. I think you notice on Orange Street that you get the dots where the it's tapering out. So
Well, good. Any other comments? So,
Mr. Chair, what would you say would be next steps with this effort? Is it to expand? I'm happy to take these locations, share them with traffic safety, get the blessing, present this to the select board, and
I think that would
see
be
if this
great.
is would the next step be to like maybe find some other locations, and then I guess I guess ask if you all would do exactly what you did last time, put together the list of the intersections, have your general discussion about how you feel some need to be signed, and then we try to implement that. Is that?
Well, speaking for myself, I would prefer that you took this traffic safety, and if it was acceptable to them, take it to the select board, and then as the phase one, So,
It's a proof of concept, I guess, right?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. You took the
Yeah.
words out of my brain, if not my mouth. So, any other thoughts, gentlemen? So do we need a motion, or are you happy with this just being a thumbs up for taking it to traffic safety?
If there's consensus to support this type of layout and configuration, that's all I need. I can take this to traffic safety and say, look, this is unanimously supported by consensus of BPAC. What say you, rest of the team?
That would be great, Mike. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
So, and I echo Edwin's, appreciation of the work you've put into this. So, thank you. Then we have other business. Any committee comments? Then no public comments. The e-cargo bike webinar on May 15th at 1 p.m. Would you
Mr.
like
Chair,
to give us any further information, Mike?
I don't remember how I got a hold of this. Maybe one of you all had sent this to me as a just a heads up, but I just wanted to share those opportunities, and putting it on the agenda kind of helped me keep me from forgetting about mentioning it. So I'm happy to do that, or just forward you all emails if I see a webinar you all might be interested in.
Well, in light of what Edwin said at the beginning of the meeting, I think I'm going to make a point of at least watching, if not participating, because I hadn't really thought this through about what we might be seeing in the next couple of years on the bike paths. So, and I mean,
I know it's not up to our committee, but I think we're about to start seeing a huge wave of very portable, very small boats and transportation vehicles that are motorized, like motorized paddle boards. I think people are going to be zipping across the harbor. It's going to become the next highway.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it sounds like fun at one level. So
Nary a road or a path.
there we go.
Roads where we're going next.
There we go. All right. So on that note, a motion to adjourn.
I'm unmuted. Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. By roll call vote, Edwin? Michelle?
Aye.
Sorry. John?
Aye.
Joseph?
Aye.
RJ?
Aye.
Ian? Aye. Thank you, everybody, for turning up, and enjoy the coming chaos or whatever.
You too.
Capital is
Thank
fine.
you.
too.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.